So currently, everybody at site does have to wear masks. I'm not a stranger to Terrace. I was born in Kitimat and lived in Terrace and have been living in the north ever since. So not a stranger to your community at all. So let's get to it. So the Brucejack mine is one of Pretivm's only mines at this time. So I'm going to give you a general mine overview and update. And that is really important part because should you end up getting an interview, for instance, you'll have firsthand information on what Pretivm's about and what is the Brucejack mine about. So Brucejack mine is a tier 1 asset and tier 1 jurisdiction. So the property was acquired in 2010. We're located northwest British Columbia, 65 kilometers south of Stewart. So for you to get out to the mine from Terrace, it's probably a 6-hour day. High-grade intermittent gold producer, sufficient contributor to local, region, and provincial economics. We have a limited environmental footprint, which is really important. So we don't have a tailings dam, and we're actually connected by a hydropower grid. And I was there in the early days and was able to watch them put that in. It was quite an amazing feat. So here's the map, and so it gives you an idea of where we're located. From Terrace, you can see, and the Brucejack is sitting in this star. So this gives you an idea of once you travel to our security gate that's over here on the right, you would go down. When you go through the security gate, it's just like going through an airport. You get tested, you get everything screened, and our screening can pick up actually gold.
Sorry, I can't see the map. I'm wondering if anyone else can.
No, I can't see anything either.
No, I can't see the map.
Did you see the slide beforehand?
No.
Oh, guess why? Because I wasn't sharing with you guys.
Oh,
well, that was not very nice.
Okay.
Let me go back so that you can.
There it is.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I jumped ahead. So there we are, the agenda. And that's a picture of the site. Beautiful, beautiful area. And there's the map. So there you are in Terrace or Kitimat, and there's the mine. So you would travel by coach from Terrace. You would go to the security gate, and this is our access road. And as you go through the access road, there is a small camp called Bowser that isn't utilized at this time. And then you go to our nipple camp, that's where it's all our the power station is, the road maintenance. Right now, there's also the road maintenance, which I said. They have a crew that, there's a lay down area for some of our warehousing stuff, and there's mechanics out in the nipple camp. So, and it holds just over 100 to 130 people. And then you would travel over the glacier and you get to Brucejack mine, and we'll talk about the numbers that are in there. And this is called the Valley of the Kings. So Pretivm their motto is courage to care, and our values are safety first, respect, teamwork, care, and integrity. And this flows throughout the whole operations. We do have a corporate office in Vancouver, an office in Smithers, and then of course our mine sites. So it's a high-grade underground gold mine. This is underground, this is smelting, this is our mill, and this is the overall of our site. So Brucejack is like I said, high-grade gold. Can I just pause for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a techie here that might give us a camera,
Oh,
so.
Where's your presentation? Or your Teams menu, or are you presenting?
I'm presenting.
there you are.
Oh, you can see me?
I can see you now.
Oh dear.
It'll show you the screen and whatever program you're using to
Okay,
present.
okay.
You can see what it shows.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So it's a high grade, and these are some of the samples that they've gotten from underground, which is quite amazing. So we look at our history of Bruce Jack, just briefly. So I started around the 2015 mark or just before. So it's been a process. It's like I said, the advantage of the mine is the small footprint and the no tailings dam. So we're right now into here. So we're into commercial production. And that will be, the life of the mine now is probably sitting at about 17 years, but we are doing exploration. So therefore it might expand it, right? So construction of Bruce Jack mine, we invested 1.0 billion to capital construction costs and 700 million spent on BC goods and services. And a lot of that we pride ourselves for doing local, working with local. So a lot of those funds went to the terrace area and down the corridor. What we call our local area, actually, and an area that I cover as community relations, is you go Houston, Smithers, up the corridor, all the Hazeltons. We also cover out to Telegraph Creek, Dees Lake, Iskoot, and then of course through Terrace, Kitimat, the Nass Valley, and Prince Rupert. So that's what we class as local. So when we talk about local hire, that's the group that we look at. So the first gold pour was in June 2017. And I've had the privilege of holding one of these, what they call dory bars. We achieved commercial production in July of 2017. And the first 1 million ounces, was achieved May 2020. And since startup, we've had 1,316,439 ounces of gold produced. And the dory bar I held at the day of marketing, just so you can put it in perspective, was 63 pounds and was worth over $1 million.
So how big would that be?
It would be like a loaf of banana bread or a loaf, something
Okay.
like that, right?
Yeah.
So, what you see here, the gold is what we have produced already. And this is our estimation of what we hope to get. But we will continue, like I said, continue exploration. So we could go beyond this 2032. And these levels could be higher. It depends on what we find when we're going through it. So this is a simplified flow sheet. So once the rock is broken into small pieces, it can be put through the mill process. So you see your SAG and your ball mill. The goal of the mill is to break the rock down into very small pieces, about the size of sand, which allows the gold and silver to be separated from the rest of the rock. To do this, we do two large pieces of equipment called mills. The first is a SAG mill, which has large steel balls about the size of a softball that help to impact the rock and break it into smaller pieces. I just need to make sure that I got you up on Teams so I see questions there. Whoops. For some reason, you guys disappeared. Okay. So I'm not seeing if somebody asks questions. So yeah, so you might have to prompt me.
Andy,
So-
I can help.
Okay. About the size, so to do this, the two large pieces, the first is sag mill, which is the large steel balls like softball that help to impact the rock and break it into smaller pieces about the size of gravel. Those pieces of gravel then go into another mill called the ball mill, which would be this one. The ball mill has smaller balls about the size of golf balls. The smaller balls help to grind up the gravel sized rock into sand-sized particles. So then we would go to the gravity concentrator that spins at high speed and separates the very dense particles of gold and silver from the other rock. So it separates them. The large pieces of gold get taken out here and it can be collected on pieces of equipment called the shaking table. So the shaking table, I've seen it, and it's quite a large piece of equipment. And when it shakes it, because the more richer gold is a little bit heavier, it flows one way and the other particles flow the other way. Once the gold is separated, we melt it in a furnace to create, they call it a gold bar here, but it's actually called a dory bar. Any small particles of gold that can't be collected here move into a different area of the mill called the flotation circuit, which you'll see a picture of what that looks like. It bubbles up all the product. Here we add chemicals that help gold so this floated material has the consistency of oatmeal. And once the extra water is squeezed out of it, can be loaded onto trucks and sold to refineries around the world. So then it goes to tailings, of course, and so it gets pressed, right? And it either goes by containers or dory bars. So 1/3 goes this way and 2/3 go dory bars. This is shipped actually to Stewart, which is then shipped to locations like overseas, like China, right? So this is, for some reason, okay, previous. Sorry, I don't, the flow is. So this is our site. So when you look at Bruce Jack, when you travel in, you come in through this road up here that takes you right into here. So this is the one portal that goes underground. This is our milling building and underground mine. It's right in here. So we have two portals. They're called portals where we can access the mine, and our main camp and kitchen. We are going to be working on all our camp locations, upgraded and additional rooms, and we are going to our own lab. So keep in mind on our webpage, we're going to be hiring around 70 to 75 people for the lab at all different levels. So those jobs are going to be posted. So something to keep in mind. So this is drilling underground. So this is what it looks like underground. Of course, you know, at one time when I first started mining, I was underground and did a tour. And anytime I go to the mine, I go underground. And of course, we're sitting around and somebody says, well, I went in the day and my tour was in the evening. And I said, oh, that would have been great because then you could have seen more. And everybody looked at me because it's always dark underground. There is no light underground other than your headlamps. So that was my first lesson. So underground, this is our sample collection. So they take samples and then it's taken to the lab or to the lab to be assessed. And that's where they know where to mine. So if the samples are high, then that's when they know the area. So this is the blasting. So they've taken samples and now they're going to blast. So they drill holes, put the caps in there, and then they blast. So then they develop remote rock. So this is where they take the rock, and he's doing it remotely. So there's nobody in this. This fellow is away from the machine and doing it remotely.
Excuse me, we have a good question here.
Okay.
The question is, given that the mine is out of terrace, would you recommend people drive to the mine on their own or take a sort of company vehicle or bus?
They do have to take the bus. We do not allow private transportation. And part of that is in its safety, right? As well as there's really no place to leave your vehicle. There's a few people from Iskut and Dees Lake that drive to the gate because we don't have transportation from that location yet. But you do have to take the bus. And now with COVID, anybody coming into site has to be COVID tested. So we have our testing stations there. So yeah, you have to use our transportation. And transportation is provided. The company, it's not something you pay for. You actually get paid for the days you travel in and you travel out. So when you're traveling in.
Thank you.
Good question. So this is one of the this is they're transporting this to the crusher. So in this one, so the underground ore flow, the rock breaker is a big arm called a boom, right? And so they dump it in here. And so with a spike on the end, it moves back and forth. When the haul trucks dump the rocks into the screen, and they call this a grizzly, the rock breaker spike is used to break up the rock into smaller pieces to make sure it falls through the holes. So it falls through those holes that you see right in here. It's of the screen. An operator sits in the cab using a set of joysticks. So he's up there with the joysticks. They will control the rock breaker arm and spike to repeatedly hammer big rocks and break them into smaller pieces. And so the rock breaker has to make the big pieces of rock into pieces that are about the size of a beach ball before going through the screen. So, and this here is the underground ore flow. So what happens with this? So you can imagine to build that underground, the massive undertaking, right? So underneath the grizzly screen, you just saw there's a large cavity that holds the broken up pieces of rock. There's an opening at the bottom of the cavity where the rock can come out. A tray underneath the cavity called a feeder vibrates back and forth to allow the rock to flow into pieces of equipment called the jaw crusher. The crusher has two large heavy plates of steel that opens and closes against each other, similar to a jaw. When the rock falls into the open jaw, the plates close and the rock is shattered into many smaller pieces. The jaw breaker crusher makes the pieces of rock into the size of a bowling ball or smaller. Then they fall through the bottom and onto a conveyor belt that runs the crushed rock through the tunnels underground and comes out of the Valley of the Kings portal that you've seen in the previous slide. So this is, you can see it as it comes through the jaw crusher, how it's crushing it. And this is the fellow. So these are all opportunities for employment in these positions. So that's the lower conveyor to the mill. And so then you can see it in this picture. And so that conveyor runs. So the rock isn't hauled out by trucks, it's hauled out by conveyor. And there you see the mill. You remember we talked about the ball mill, and that's the mill. It's a massive, massive building. And all these this equipment is run by the control room. So here you can see both mills. The mill at the top, this is your sag mill, and it's much larger in dimensions. And this is our ball mill. And this rotates about 12 RPMs. And it just goes in there and it just keeps rotating and it breaks up the ore. Now there's times that we have to change the balls in these units. So we have a total shutdown and people go in and replace. So it breaks down the rock into much smaller pieces about the size of sand. Here particles and flakes of gold and silver are broken free from the ore and can be separated later. So again, as you can see, this is our control room right here. So this fellow here is just checking on, so they walk around and they check all the equipment. So once it gets to sand, it goes through a piece of equipment called the cyclone. There are 6 cyclones, which can be seen on the left side of the picture. So there's 6 of those, right? So that's where he's working at. They're like shaped like a cone, and there's a hole at the top and bottom of the cone. So the ground up rock is forced through the cone, and due to the shape, there are high force that applied to the particles. The biggest heavy particles go through the hole at the bottom of the cone and over to the gravity recovery circuit. And the smaller stuff goes to the top and to the flotation circuit. So that's how it's all separated. So again, this is the mill building, you can see. And these are our flotation circuits along here. There's 14 of them. And so they go in there, and again, we add water and air into the bottom of the tanks that create small bubbles, and the tiny gold and silver particles that stick to the bubbles float to the top. And there you can see it right here, flotation cells. So this is what it looks like, right? And so then the rest of the rock particles will sink to the bottom of the tank and are called tailings. So some of the small concentrate will contain other minerals like lead, zinc, and iron, as well as clay and sulfur. So again, this is the mill. So yeah, these bins are about 20 feet long that you see here. And they hold up to 23,000 kilograms of concentrate. This up here is where it presses all the water out of the concentrate. And then it goes down and flows, and they bag it, or they put it in these big bins. So once all of that is done, so like we said, 1/3 of our product goes onto trucks and is taken to Stewart and then shipped overseas. And 2/3 of our product is made into the bars. Quite an interesting process to watch. I talked to you about the transmission line. So there's our transmission line going into site. We do have backup generators in the event of the power going down. And the power station is at Nipple. Here you see this is all the ice road. So we travel from Nipple Camp, and we go on this ice road, which is, the road is about 12 kilometers and takes about 30 to 40 minutes. And you're on, it's carved into solid ice that is nearly 300 feet deep. So every once in a while, we have what we call a glaciologist, and he'll check the road. And sometimes because of the eroding, and we don't want to damage the ice fields, we'll have to change the road. We'll move it over so that we're not continually on that, right? So we have people that are trained to drive on the road. So Nipple Camp. So we talked about Nipple Camp. So we have the main kitchen. Right now we have a small lab there. And like I said, we're going to be building a big lab over at Bruce Jack. This is our waste management building. We're going to get our new camp. Every area does have first aid. And we do have nurses on site and paramedics. That's what we use. Our shop. And then this is our core shack. So when exploration starts, we start logging our core, and then the power station. This is Wildfire. So when you get to Wildfire, there's gates across here. You go into check in here and you check out here. There is going to be a new camp and a main kitchen here. And so this is mainly, there's security that works out of here. Some of the road crew also work out of here, work and live out of here as well. So Bruce Jack Mine, health and safety remains our top priority. We have 17 in our health and safety team. We have 93 members in our emergency response team. We have primary medical care by Iridia, so that's a contractor. So they staff doctors, nurses, advanced and primary care paramedics, and occupational first aid level 3. So if this is an area you're interested in, you'd go on our webpage, and on the left-hand side, you would see contractors, and you could apply with Iridia. Bruce Jack Mine, again with safety, COVID-19. So management of significant paramedic and other events. We have an extensive COVID-19 safety management procedures, mandatory COVID-19 testing before traveling to site, 5 days into our rotation, and optional additional test at the end of the rotation. And you would be surprised at how many employees decide to take that exiting test, because it's about ensuring the safety of our families and friends. We do have a vaccination program that's been going up and off since March. We're currently doing some second vaccinations. Currently, there is no COVID-19 cases. I got the report today, and there still remains no cases. So this is a social performance. So we direct payments to provincial and regional economic, including First Nations. We put in 8.8 million. Employee compensation. So when employee compensation means wages, benefits. We have a program that people at the end of the year potentially get a bonus. So we have really good benefits, and we've put 89.4 million into that. Expenditures to local and regional businesses, 39.7 million. And local donations, sponsorships, and other community investments. And for those of you out there that might be volunteers, or you work for an agency, or maybe know of somebody in the community that might need support through donations and sponsorship, you can go on our webpage, and there's application forms there.
Aldia, we have a question.
Yes.
So do you recommend everyone get the vaccine before going into the mine?
If you have the opportunity and you're okay with it, absolutely. We are vaccinating as many people, employees, and that includes our contractors. So we are providing vaccinations for them as well. A company cannot make you get a vaccination, but we highly encourage it, right? Yeah. If you have the opportunity to get vaccinated and you're comfortable with that, I highly recommend it. So we have a high level of local employment. So right now, we currently, between contractors and Bruce Jack, we employ 1,277 employees. Keeping in mind, it's a 2-week in, 2-week out rotation for most contractors and Pretivm. With our mining contractor, it's 3 weeks in, 3 weeks out. So the dynamics of that, 91% of those employed are from British Columbia. 49% of that is with Northwest BC, and 32% of those are First Nations. Over 200 staff are the Indigenous, so that represents most of our departments. We really look at focusing on hiring local, and of course, local Indigenous. We have some partnerships with our local Indigenous, but we really like to keep that local. So our commitment is to maintain a safe and healthy environment at Bruce Jack. And we want to have a positive impact and on the well-being of communities where our employees and their families live. And we have long-term mutual benefit relationship with the local communities over the life of the mine. And we want to support education, employment, and training. We have quite an extensive education program, an apprenticeship program that covers virtually everything. So, and in-house training, we really strongly believe in that. So what about for opportunities? So for opportunities, you know, I was there for construction, and we did more than 900 jobs actually when we did construction. So we're going to average approximately 1,000 jobs per year. So right now they're saying it's 10-year life right in this area of operations. And then you'd have 2 years of closure. And then post-closure is 10 years. So there's job opportunities in all of those. So yeah. It is our priority to extend employment opportunities to Indigenous people and locals whenever possible. So what are the requirements? As per the Mines Act, you have to be 18 years or older. You need the qualifications that meet the position. We do a pre-employment medical that includes a drug and alcohol test. We also do a criminal record check. Now, we always get asked questions about that. I don't know the age group of the group that I'm talking to, but you know, we get to our mid age, you know, you're 30, 40, and some people, you know, even 50, and they say, well, when I was 18, I did this. You know, we look at what is the crime and how long ago is this and where are we at today? So if you do have a record, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get employed. It means that we would probably talk to you a little bit further. Driver's abstract. I think one of the biggest barriers to employment for individuals sometimes is the lack of a driver's license. Because the site is so vast, even our janitors have to have a driver's license. All our vehicles are insured for the road, so therefore anybody driving them has to have, you know, at least a driver's license. It might not be a class 5, you might have your L, so we look at that. Previous job experience, and able to work the 2-week rotation. So what kind of employment do we offer? So surface operations, so it's administrative, environmental, health and safety, equipment operators, mechanics. So any skilled trades, laborers, nurses, first aid would be with our contractor, as would any security. So if you're interested in security, we also have a contractor called Western Protection Alliance, and they're also on our webpage. Procurement, so anything in the warehouse, engineers, engineer techs, geologists and geotechs, human resources, accounting, managers and supervisors. Camp services, we look at cooks, kitchen helpers, dishwashers, janitors, and camp attendants. And there's various levels within the kitchen. So yeah. So mill operations. So when we talk about mill operations, one position that's not listed here is called mill helpers. So that's like a laborer's position. Oh, it's right here. So helpers, they're always short of helpers in the mill. So that's a good one that's sort of open right now. You would go on general application, and if you apply, it's good to say in there
Alvia, are
on
you
our webpage,
frozen?
interested in mill. Okay, are we good now?
Yeah, you were frozen. If you can please go back a little bit and repeat.
Oh, okay. I just started on this one here. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, so I was talking about mill helpers. I was talking to one of our employees that works at the mill, and they were mentioning that, you know, it's hard to get mill helpers. An excellent job to start in the mill because you can build your way up to different levels, and we do all the training. So when if you're applying and
Aldia, your screen is frozen
Yeah.
again.
because when they do a search, oh, okay. Let's see what, okay, let me go back. How's that?
Yeah, it's good now. Your screen, the one that you're presenting, that gets frozen.
Okay, I don't know why that. So this is for the mill. So I highly recommend that, you know, if you're interested in employment and even at the labor's level, that would be a good one to go for. So how's that now? Are we good?
Yes, we are good.
Okay, so underground mine operations, that would be Procon, and again, there would be listed on our contractors. Good company to work for. So they hire drillers, blasters, backfill operators, loader operators, truck drivers, skilled trades, laborers, diamond drillers, supervisors, surveyors, and technicians. And I just met with management at site that works around the mine area, and they're working on an underground mine training opportunity that we're hoping that will roll out the first quarter of 2022. It will be partly online and partly at site. So I will keep Work BC in the loop. So as soon as we start hearing about that, we will be looking for candidates for that. Education and training. So for administration, it may require a driver's license, computer skills, business admin. For your laborers and kitchen helpers and housekeepers, fit for the position. When we say fit, able to lift 50 pounds, and work the 10-12 hour days for the 2-week period, and it may require a driver's license. And like I mentioned, mill helpers and janitors require a driver's license, and again, fit for the position would mean be able to lift 50 pounds past your pre-employment medical. And our equipment operators, again, fit for the position, and it does require a driver's license. So education and training, again, mill and mine equipment may require a driver's license, computer skills, is experience in specialized programs related to the mill processing process. Now, the mill, the helper does not require that. All skills trades, we require a Red Seal certification and may require driver's license. In parts, the Red Seal is to support any of the apprentices as well that we're going to be looking at. So any technical or professional positions, post-secondary degree, and may require a driver's license. So how do we want to prepare future Pretivm employees? Our goal is to develop a talent pipeline, transferable skills which will benefit local communities beyond Bruce Jack. We have an apprenticeship program that covers your wages, if you have to live out, so books, tuition, so quite a good apprenticeship program. And the number of apprenticeships and types of trades will depend on operational needs. And we do post on our webpage when we are looking for apprentices. So what do we look, if you get hired, what do we look for? We want somebody that demonstrates commitment to safety and honors your commitments, can provide quality and quantity of work. We don't want you to be, when we say quantity, we do not want you to rush through a job to get more done, because we want to also keep in mind once the safety aspect, that is number one. And somebody that shows initiative. So an example of that is, like, for instance, we hire a snow removal team every year. And so you get designated an area that you're shoveling snow, and you get done, and you see maybe a coworker still has a fair bit to go. Jump in and assist, right? So just show initiative. Is a team player who treats others with courtesy and respect. So the key to success when working a 2 and 2 is work and life balance. So when I say that, some individuals will work 2 weeks and then go off site and do another job, or work 2 weeks and not include themselves in with family and friends. And so finding a balance is really important. Or else what you find is that you feel like you're working all the time. And that builds stress and burnout, right? So be able to work as part of a team in close quarters for long periods of time. You're working with individuals, but also you're having dinner with individuals. So you're working and living with individuals. Bring skills, experience, and a positive can-do attitude. Good communication at home and at work. That communication and connecting to home, With technology now, it's amazing. When I first started in the mining industry, we were lucky if you had a telephone. But communication at site, you can use your cell phone. There's Skyping. There's many ways that you can stay connected with home. So stay connected to family and friends. Very important. So the only other thing I would say is working a 2 and 2 is not for everybody. If you have the opportunity to experience it and it doesn't feel like a fit for you, I always say to individuals, it's just as important how you leave a company as how you enter a company. If you do a rotation and it's not for you, let your supervisor know, explain that situation, because maybe things will change down the road and another opportunity may come up and life changes and that opportunity might look different for you. But I must say that the number one thing is stay connected. Keep the balance. There's huge opportunity in mining. It's been wonderful for me. I've done many different positions within it. And there is huge opportunity. In the north, there's Pretivm and other mines. And so there's huge opportunity in the mining industry. So any questions?
I just have a quick question. For admin jobs like HR, are work available through remote, like work from home, or do you have to be at site?
Right now, it varies. So all our HR are currently on site, right? They're doing the rotation. All our admin for transportation, logistics, the rooms, they're at site. If you look at our Vancouver office and our Smithers office, we are able to work from home so that we can keep our numbers in the office down. So we have that option. But when you're hired for site, and the only other site people that work from home that can do that sometimes is our geologists, right? Because a lot of it is on computer. But for the most part, anybody that's hired for site is currently working at site.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, Alia, this is Louis calling, or actually asking from Smithers.
Yeah.
Construction Association.
Yeah.
Just a quick question about the online applications. On occasion, and it doesn't happen a lot, but on occasion I have a client who, for reasons, they don't have access to an internet, to a laptop, or access to internet, or some the capacity is not there to access your website, and they cannot apply online as with your. Is there an alternative way or alternative means for people like that? Perhaps using me as not that I'm the applicant, but is there a way that we can send an email or send a notification, or what do you suggest?
Well, if there's an issue with the web page, then of course contact me and I would get IT to look into that. If you're able to, I always like to use the resources within the community. If you can sit with that person, if with social distancing it might not be able to, but I know with Work BC, the individual could, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, if an employee needed to, or a potential employee needed to apply for a position, had difficulty and did not have the means, could they go to make an appointment and go to a Work BC office to get assistance?
Yes, they absolutely can. Yep, they would just give your Work BC a call, and an employment advisor can definitely help you apply online with that. We have all of our safety in place. We have plexiglass, we have mandatory masks, we have ventilation in our offices. We're all set to go to see clients for those purposes if we need to.
Okay.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
Louis, are you taking clients?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Here's the, and I don't mean to be difficult, but here's the on occasion what I experience. it's not someone in town. It's not someone in Smithers-town, that is. It's someone, often it's someone from a remote community. They don't have access to the internet, or they have an old laptop, or the internet they have is slow. It's not your website. Your website's
No.
fine and
Okay.
it's functional. Houston is a rather interesting community where it's 45 minutes away from me at this point.
Mhm.
Sorry, I meant to say at this point I'm not allowed to travel, and they don't have a work PC office, so they
Okay.
have access different support people, which might be a delay. And again, I don't want to make this a big deal because it's only happened on 2 occasions with me and with a client over the last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what you can do is, WorkBC is not, you're right, is not going to the Houston office right now, but they may be able to do something where the worker or even yourself, it has the individual on the phone and you work through that application with that individual. And or if it's another community, I have contacts in communities along the corridor that help with just that kind of stuff, like in Gatineau and Hazelton. So all these little, and Whitset, I have connections where they're taking clients, and I've always believe in using our resources within the community, because if we don't use them, we'll lose them.
Yes.
So, yeah. So reach out to me if you're having difficulty and we can work through it. But yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
we would work out a way to make it happen.
Aldia,
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Hello. Did we lose her, Erin?
Linza, you're on mute.
yeah, if you get an employment position and we don't have a certain skill that is needed for that position, will you help us get that skill, or would you point us in the direction for that skill?
Give me an example.
What I'm referencing is the requirement of a driving license for someone of the jobs most of the time.
Okay, so driver's license, a good person in Terrace, and I know she does all the area, is Lucy Sager. And you can touch base with her. And like, for instance, Pretivm sponsored Lucy to do a program at Parkside School for kids to get their driver's license. So Lucy Sager is a wonderful resource. And say you have 6 or 7 people that really needed their driver's license. You may be able to contact her, and she can once again contact us and say, hey, we have, and I know some of the smaller communities are doing driving programs because it is such a barrier. So yeah, there may be different grants that a person can use as well. But yeah, for sure, that's one of the resources. Once somebody is employed with us, so say we hired a laborer and we do performance reviews, and maybe in that performance review, one of their goals is to get their driver's license, and we do have professional development funds, right? They would discuss that with their supervisor, and they may be able to use some of those funds to do it, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
We have someone, I think Stephen is typing.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason I can't see that.
Okay, what PPE would be required or what is provided?
Okay, PPE provided, your hard hat, your vests, masks, gloves. We do have a boot allowance once you're on. So anybody starting would probably have to get their own boots. So that kind of gear. Any safety thing like coveralls if you're in certain areas would be provided depending on the position. Oh, your glasses as well. If you need a respirator to work, the respirator would be provided. So I think basically, you know, when you look at gear, it's your own personal boots and clothing, right?
Thank you.
Aldia,
Mhm.
you'll probably be able to see the chat better if you stop sharing your screen.
Okay, I just want to just share this one last thing.
Yeah.
So this is how we apply. Just if you want, I'll give you a few seconds to write that down. And just a note on when you apply, I would say if you're applying, so when you apply with Pretivm, we have a program that say you apply for housekeeping, then say you apply for a laborer. What happens is it builds a file on you. So say Joe Smith applied for 2 jobs. I could look up Joe Smith and see the jobs that he's applied for, whether it was from 2017 or 2018. It builds a file for you. And I always encourage people, you might be applying for a laborer's job, but when you do your cover letter or in your somewhere on your resume or even noted on the questionnaire that you answer in applying, if you're interested in other areas, write them down, because then if we do a search, that's going to come up in our search, right? Ensure you utilize all your transferable skills, whatever it is, whether it's a task that you were doing at home, whether it's volunteer work, include all of those as well. So, okay, I'll stop sharing and see what happens. Okay. Did it stop?
Yeah, it has stopped now.
Yes.
Why can't I still see you guys? That is so weird.
We can see you.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing that James doesn't have access to the chats. James, do you have access to your microphone? If you want to jump on and ask a question, you could.
And Aldia, you've now started sharing your screen again.
What?
Yeah, we can see your desktop.
Oh, okay. How do I oh, there it is.
Oh, it's still sharing. There we go.
Hi. There, we're gone.
Yeah.
I still can't see you guys in the question. That is weird. I'll have to get IT to check this, or I've done something wrong here. I just see all your guys' names.
Yes.
Okay.
Is your video on? Yeah, I can see. Okay. Yeah, I can see. Okay.
Okay. So you have another question?
Not question, it's just part of conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so we just have one person, looks like, who's trying to get a question. He's going to phone Christine and see if he can figure it out, and if we can get him on. So I'm thinking in the meantime, since I don't think anyone else has any questions, maybe we could just do our draw quickly.
Okay.
And sorry, I had my camera turned off. So if we could just do the draw quickly, and then maybe after the draw, we'll come back and answer any questions that anyone has. So I will pass it over to Sarah.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, I think.
I can see comments now, which is,
Oh, good.
yeah. I apologize for being technically challenged a little bit today.
But don't worry, because now I am, because my
Yeah.
screen's not going to share.
Oh, I see you now, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Where's my duck race? There we go. So we're going to do a duck race. I've got everybody's name in here. So I'm ready to do the first one, and this will be for the gift card for Cafanera.
This is exciting.
We'll see who's going to win. Can everybody hear it?
Yep.
Okay. We got to do this 11 times.
This is so cool. I really like the most. Oh, Stephen won it.
Yeah.
Look at that. Number 5.
Okay, so we're going to remove Steve, and then we're going to race again for Xander gift card.
How come only one has a safety helmet?
Yeah.
Oh, look at number one. Go.
James, congratulations, James.
Okay. And I'm hoping James stays out of there now. Okay, so now we're gonna go, there is, donated by Aldea, is a roadside emergency kit. Oh, oh, oh.
There goes Martin.
All right, so next is for a small pack from Pretivm.
Oh. False start.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whoa!
Number 10. Just scooched up there.
Okay, and now we're gonna do one for a hoodie from Pretivm.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Okay, and then the second hoodie. And Veronica. Yay! Okay, we have one more hoodie.
Oh, that's so funny.
oh, here we go. Oh,
Okay, so then the last four races will be for a cap and water bottle from Pretivm. Ooh, and we got Cecilia. All right. The next one, another cap water bottle.
Oh, look at Susie go.
Yeah. Oh,
oh,
and,
Oh,
and it
look
goes
at
to
Troy.
Troy.
Oh.
Okay,
So close,
third
Susie.
cap and water bottle.
ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whoa.
there you go, Susie. Oh.
And one more. Ooh. Oh,
Ah.
Oh, Kristen. Oh,
and it goes to Kristen.
okay.
There.
Hey, Aaron, I think we can't have one person not get something. I will ship up another cap and water bottle, take their
Oh,
information so that
Okay,
everybody
thank
gets
you.
something.
so
That's-
Douglas will get that too then.
Excellent. Thank you
I'll
so
ship that out to you.
much.
Thank you.
We can't have one
Excellent.
lone duck.
May I know? The poor duck. All right. Well, did we manage to get that last question just before we say goodbye? From
No.
James.
No,
I don't see him coming back in.
Okay.
No, he hasn't called me yet, Erin.
Okay, so
Maybe read out the number in case he doesn't, because he can't see the chat box unless somebody did give it to him or.
okay, so James, it's 250-641-4483. The other thing you could do is you could just email us and we could ask Aldea and get back to you.
For sure. And if there's any questions, Erin, that come up after, please
Okay.
feel free to reach out. I'm always available.
Great, thank you.
And, you know, before you close off, I want to thank, you know, Work BC and the team. I look forward to working with you. And I'll touch base with you, Erin. I have a couple questions for you and your team.
Okay,
And
great.
then I'll email you on that.
Okay, great.
Thank you, everybody, for taking part in it.
Thanks, everybody, for coming, and just keep watch on our Facebook page and also our webpage for any upcoming job fairs or information sessions that we might have in the future. We are trying to do about one a month, so just, yeah, keep looking at our page for more details. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.